Hello, welcome back. Thank you guys for being back tuned in the channel. Here I am today, joined by Brennan, Jeff, and Akil. Welcome to the ultimate roster breakdown of the Gold Cup. Just straight to the point, guys. What do you think about this roster? And give me your standout positives and negatives right away off the bat. Brennan, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of this roster personally. It just screams lack of ambition. Because for
Yeah,
me, the Gold Cup should be a developmental roster. And you do have some players like Kate Cowell. I'm really happy he's there. Slanina can get some important experience, like learning behind Turner. But for the most part, we've got some MLS lifers being called up that can't really develop anymore. And it's just a waste of a spot. Like for Aaron Long, Christian Roldan, James Sands. There's just really no point calling these people up. And I'd rather see some of our standouts from the U20 roster called up instead, like Brandon Craig, Jack McGlynn, Paxton Aronson. He wasn't on the U20 roster, which I think is even more of a reason to call him up, since if he wasn't going to be released for the U20s, you think that they would release him for the Gold Cup at least.
True. I'll go to Akil. What do you think about the roster? If there are any standout negatives, I know Brennan mentioned a few of them. If you had to pick out three guys to take away from this roster that you think are a complete waste of a spot, who would it be?
I basically agree with almost everything Braden said. Like we could have used half of these roster spots on young players like Paredes, Paxton, and maybe even Winder, Craig, and three spots that I think should not be there: Roldan, Sean Johnson, and Aaron Long.
You can also throw in Jordan Morris too.
No, he's my goat.
Yeah, just wanted to throw that.
That's perhaps club bias, and I'll go to Jeff
Yeah, it
since you
is.
have club bias towards Morris. Jeff, what do you think about Sands making the roster?
Well, as much as I rated Sands in the past, and his loan spell didn't go as good at Rangers. I still see that he can be a vital player in this roster. You can go back to the match against Mexico. He did really good in that game,
Yeah,
and
he
he
was good.
showed that he's more better as a CDM than as a center back. And I really feel like this is a chance for him, a redemption shot with the national team to see if he can prove that he can be a vital player and he can be a very good backup to Tyler Adams and maybe get some interest again from Europe.
Yeah, I think it's hard for him to get himself back into Europe, at least for the foreseeable future, because as you mentioned, it wasn't a positive spell at Rangers. I'll give him props for trying it out, but like Brandon said, I think this roster should have been a developmental one, and anyone who doesn't have a ceiling that might touch the main squad, the main roster, shouldn't be there. So yeah, I think we wasted a lot of spots. And going through the roster, I'm just going to mention my biggest negative. I mean, as a Venezia fan, that's obviously the guy that I've watched the most out of these ones right here. Gianluca Buzio getting the call up, it's insane in my opinion. The guy isn't good enough for a a top half Serie B squad, at least for Venezia system. And we've tried modeling it around him for the beginning of the season. It didn't work. We've tried playing him in a position where he has a little bit more space and still didn't work. It's mainly his attitude issues. But going through the roster, what your guys' opinion on a few players that, just like Sands, aren't terrible and a complete waste of space, but might have a chance to get themselves a shout in the main roster. What do you guys think about Mihailovic making this roster? I think
It's
and
about time.
one, it's a good call up, but at the same time, he's going to lose preseason with his club in Europe, and he barely joined there, so he hasn't really solidified himself in the Eredivisie yet. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
That is true. But I think he needs minutes with the U.S. men's national team. But since he joined in January, I don't think a preseason still would be really important for him, but not as important as getting minutes with the men's national team. And I think Mihailovic would be our standout player.
yeah, he's definitely a player to watch, especially for this Gold Cup. But like Akil said, and to add on, it is kind of pointless to call him up. Well, not entirely pointless, but it's a bit odd to call him up for the Gold Cup since we could have called him up many times before, especially during the March camp. He could have been a good option to call up, given that he was getting good form with um as a Aklamar. But yeah, it's good. It's gonna be kind of a waste, especially if we don't use him correctly for this Gold Cup. But not a bad player to call up at all by any means.
Yeah, he had an interview that came out today that basically he just said he's going to use this as an opportunity to show the U.S. coaches that he belongs in the main team and also to get some valuable minutes before returning to AZ Alkmaar, which I think is a positive thing considering he didn't really play too much for them in the Eredivisie. And yeah, maybe having a preseason would be beneficial, but I think getting some good minutes with the U.S. at the Gold Cup, hopefully he will. I think could be even more beneficial for him.
Yeah, that's true. And I wanted to. You mentioned an interview. There was another guy that gave an interview today. It was Zayden Morris. To me, I see him as a good guy to call up for this. Is a perfect player of what our Gold Cup roster should be. A young guy, somewhat young guy that has an aspiration to and a ceiling that could really touch the main roster someday. He said he wants to. He will be in Europe in the future. He was pretty assured about that. And I just want wait your guys' opinion on him, Cowell. Brendan Vasquez kind of falls into that category. He's not that young, but considering that he had a good season last year, if you guys, it's basically that's the question I'm going to ask. Who do you guys think are solidified must be starters for this roster? Considering what we have, who do you think is a must to start apart from Turner? Who I think Turner and Miles, I think they're locked in. But what do you guys think about the rest of the squad?
Well, straight off, I'm gonna say that a player that has to be a starter instantly in this team is John Tolkien. He for the past pretty sure 2 seasons he's established himself with the New York Red Bulls. He has been getting interest from Europe, and he has been also getting a lot of praise and having a good shift becoming a lock and starter for the Red Bulls at left back. And the fact that he has talent, he's young, and he's an all rounded left back. He can attack, he can defend, he could track back when needed to, and he even got his debut back in the January camp for us against Colombia, and he did really good. In my opinion, man and match. He's a very good player, and I feel like he really deserves to be a starter on this team. And it's not going to take long for him to get a transfer to Europe, and I just can't wait to see how he does in the Gold Cup.
Yeah, for me, it would
Yeah,
be Zendejas. Because he didn't play any. I don't think he played any minutes in the Nations League, and
no,
it would
me
be
too.
it'd be cool to see how we'd play with a left-footed right winger for the first time since January, and before that, we've never had that type of player.
Mhm. Yeah, and going to another player from the Nations League roster, I think Alan Senora, I think this could be a really big opportunity for him to show what he's capable of since, like Sendejas, he didn't have any minutes in the Nations League, and I think he could really step up and be a leader here. And also, Jeff mentioned at left back, but I would also think Brian Reynolds at right back should definitely be the starter. I know BJ might go with Yedlin just because he has a lot of experience. 78 caps for the national team is very impressive, but at the end of the day, this is all about development. And I think Reynolds has shown some promising signs this season at Westerlo in Belgium, and I'd like to see him given an opportunity at the Gold Cup.
Yeah. Also, don't forget about Daquan Jones from the Revolution. He's also
Yeah,
there. He could
solid
he
left
could
back.
potentially make his way to the starting lineup. He's pretty good in my opinion, and he can play on the left and the right.
Yeah, that's what I was
He's
gonna say. I agree with you guys. I would personally start Tolkien and Reynolds, but I think it's pretty much up for grabs. I have a feeling they're gonna go with Yedlin as the captain for this camp, perhaps. And if they start Dejuan Jones over Tolkien, I don't think it's an absurd take. I think it's pretty fair. They're both pretty similar in terms of level. I know Tolkien's a little bit younger, but since we're talking about the lineup, I don't know if you guys want to go through this. Each one of you gives your perfect lineup, or if we come up with one, if we can have an agreement on the ideal lineup. Let's say we are starting against a very tough team, Jamaica. They brought a good roster. Who would you guys start if you really want to see us to win. So
All
I mean,
right.
obviously
I,
wants to see
I,
us win.
I really got a good lineup in mind. Well, should I say for the Jamaica game because like that is the upcoming game, and I
Yeah,
really hope to
first
see
game,
this
yeah.
lineup.
All
All
right.
right. So in that, obviously Matt Turner, our starter from Nations League, and again a Gold Cup. In I right back, I would personally start Brent Reynolds, but like you said, Yedlin, he's most likely to start, maybe even become captain. But this is my personal lineup, so yeah, I would go Brent Reynolds, and for the two center backs, I'd go with Miazga and Robinson. There's the only, yeah,
Yeah,
the only center
yeah.
backs. I mean,
Miles.
there's also Jalen Neal. There's also Jalen Neal too, but I would personally go with Miazga and Robinson. Jalen Neal, I would start him. He did good in the January camp as well, but I want to go with for me, he can actually become a starter, and Jalen Neal maybe compete with him. At left back, I'll go with John Tolkien, and the three midfielders I go with Alan Senora. Alan Senora. Gotta be quick with this.
Gianluca Buzio. No, I'm
Shit.
just kidding.
Gianluca Busio, you can say, and
No,
James
not
Sands.
good.
As a CDM. Then the front three, I already have it in mind.
Wait, you're
Kikau.
seriously going with Buzio? I thought you were joking, dude.
Oh, shit. I mean, I'm trying to go as fast as I can, and I don't want to mess this up. Ah,
Did you
shit.
say Aiden Morris?
No, wait. Oh, Mihailovic. You know what? I'm scratch Busio. I'm gonna go Mihailovic. I would start Aiden Morris, but I want to have some creativity through the middle, and I feel like Mihailovic can provide it. And even though Aiden Morris is very promising, I'd go with Mihailovic in my opinion. He's more trusted. And then the front three, I go with Kate Cowell, Brandon Vasquez, and Zendejas.
All right, what do you guys think? Would you make any changes, Akil? Would you make any changes, Brandon?
Probably some minor changes, but overall, I think it's mostly what I would go with. I
So
think
you guys,
Jalen
go ahead.
Neal probably starts over Miazga, and that's it. Maybe Aiden
Yeah,
Morris at DM instead of
mhm.
Sands.
Yeah, I'll go with
Yeah.
Sands because of the New York City biasness, and
For
because
me,
I
for
really want
Jalen
him to
Neal,
redeem himself.
yeah. So for me, for Jalen Neal, I think he's someone who we should be looking to start in our other group games against maybe some weaker opponents like Trinidad and
Yeah,
Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis. I don't
that's a perfect
think
team to
he's
start.
someone that we should start and trust against some of the bigger teams like Jamaica. But I think he's definitely ready for some of the smaller teams. And going back to Aiden Morris, I think he's the perfect player to start in the midfield. I think he's had a much better season than James Sands in the MLS, and I think he's a perfect midfielder. He can defend pretty well, and he can also even go up and score some goals, as he's shown with the crew this season. And I think, but striker, it's a tough one between Vasquez and Ferreira. But just because of the experience that Ferreira has, I think I'd start him.
Yeah, I'd start Ferreira too. It's the only roster in history that I would actually start Ferreira. And I mean, if he starts Vasquez, I'm not sad either. I'm fine with him starting over Ferreira. But I think just considering he's a little bit younger, the kind of opposition we're going to face, I don't want him playing the long ball. I want us to try to be a little bit more creative. And I hope he keeps the same shape that he used in the Nations League. With the double pivot, I'll go with Adam Morris. Even though I like Sands, I'll bench Sands. I think this is a Morris type of competition. It's a developmental squad, so I don't mind if he doesn't play that well. I'll play him and Sonota. Those would be my two midfielders. And then I'll put Mihailovic in front of them playing the 10. I think he flourishes there. I think it's probably the position he's going to be playing at in Eredivisie. Like you guys said, Cal on one wing, and on the other one, they're probably going to go with Zendejas and Ferreira up front. So, yeah, I think we
What are the
covered pretty much
chances?
everything. What's
Yeah,
up?
what are the chances we actually see this lineup, like our lineups,
I
being
think
played
they're
this Gold
pretty
Cup?
high.
Pretty
I
good.
like. I think that BJ's not gonna. I mean, maybe he starts Yedlin. That's the only absurd one that I can imagine. I don't think he's gonna go for Aaron Long to start. I hope he doesn't. I think Yedlin's the only L that he's gonna start. But
Yeah, let's
then
hope he doesn't
it's
pull a
not,
Greg.
but he's not a waste either. I mean, the guy has a lot of experience, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
He
think
shows you
another
stuff
one
with
is
people.
Jordan Morris. Since Cowell is so young and he doesn't have as much experience, I think for the Jamaica game at least, Jordan Morris is going to start on the left.
yeah, that's understandable because they are going to be the toughest test we're going to face for a while.
No,
But
but
for
aren't Jamaica a physical opponent though? They're very physical, aren't they? Right?
Yeah, I think they have a better
Mhm.
roster than us.
Yeah, but Cowell
Yeah,
he
oh,
has he
definitely.
has he has pretty good strength. So, and
So
he's
does
also got
Morris,
pace
though.
as well.
Morris has the same things and more experience.
I go speed.
I would start Kyle to be honest, but if he goes with Morris for this game, I understand it, but for the rest, I'll prefer to watch Kyle and Morris dropping disaster classes other than watching the established
Yeah,
players that I know are never
Yeah.
gonna touch our main roster.
Morris pulling off a big miss is the last thing I want to see against Jamaica.
Yeah, just a brief talk. Who do you guys think are gonna be the players that don't touch the field? The guys that won't really get any playing time.
Oh.
I
Aaron
mean, that's a
Long
tough one to tell.
Somewhere,
Aaron Long
and
definitely.
Slonina.
yeah.
Yes, Lenina's. I mean, that's
Yeah,
an obvious one. Just
he,
think
mhm.
realistically, players that actually could be in consideration, but are not actually going to play at all.
I think
I
I would say,
think
Gressel.
yeah,
Gressel.
Gress,
Sands.
Christian Roldan definitely.
You
Yeah.
think Sands
No,
won't
Roldan will
play?
definitely play. I think
Okay.
Sands will play just because of the
Yeah, he will
versatility he has.
What are
Mhm.
your score predictions?
for the Jamaica game.
Yeah.
I say 2-1 win. It's going to be close, but we pull it off.
I'm gonna
I'll
say
go.
2-1 Jamaica.
I'll
Two
go with
one
a very
Jamaica.
biased 1-0 USA. Very biased 1-0.
I'm thinking
Two
realistically
0
here.
I'm
Yeah,
going
Yeah.
2-0
Bias
Jamaica.
bias.
bias for me would be 3-1 USA.
Okay. We're gonna go
No.
against in attack. We're gonna go against Antonio, Damari Gray, and Leon Bailey. That's a
Yeah,
prem front three against our defense.
yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
kind of
I
worried
got two.
about
I
that.
got 2-0 Jamaica.
No, but the
yeah.
I
thing that
think we're gonna
Jamaica
score.
lacks in is consistency. So that can actually come into play against us. And the fact that these players are newcomers as well, I feel like we can fancy our chances here.
Honestly,
So
I
was
think this.
Balogun, and he
Yeah,
scored in the second game.
yeah. If you got
He's
Yeah.
quality, you got quality. It doesn't really matter if you're a newcomer. I think, and
hmm
honestly, not even a hot take. I think this Jamaica roster is better than Mexico's. They would beat Mexico's A squad.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
it's not really a shame if
I
we
think they
struggle
could.
against them
It's just their
fielding
attack.
out the
Yeah,
It's
roster.
just
how
their
about
attack
against
that I'm worried
Canada? How
about.
about against Canada though?
And
Could this
goalkeeper.
Jamaica team
Yeah, they're
Jamaica
better
team
than
actually
Canada. They're better than Canada.
Yeah, I think so
They're
too.
better than Canada's Gold Cup team. I don't think they're better than Canada's main team. Not yet.
Yeah, that's
I'd say
actually
they're
up for debate.
equivalent
I think they
because
give
their
Canada a tough
Jamaica's
game.
midfield is horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I figured.
Other than
Mhm.
that, it's good. In defense, they have Ethan Pinnock and Dexter Lambikisa.
Yeah.
Andre Blake is still
Lempikisa
the
hasn't been
starter,
good
right?
though.
Yeah,
Andre Blake is still a
Yeah,
starter,
Andre
right?
Blake's amazing.
They also got Rabbi
Yeah, I think
Morrison.
he's captain too. Yeah, he wasn't called up though. I don't think.
But
All
yeah,
right, that covers it all. Thank you for watching, and yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. See you later.
yeah. Like and subscribe, and watch our shorts. Yeah,
for
thank
sure.
you.
Mhm.
Thank you guys.
And comment
Yep.
your score
Thanks
predictions
for.
for the Jamaica game.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
peace.
Let's hope we get this dub.